All right, we are live. Don Faul, welcome to the Future of Fitness, my friend.
Oh, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Oh man, the excitement's all mine. The pleasure is all mine. As I was briefly explaining prior to this, and some of the emails back and forth, I'm such a at heart still a diehard CrossFitter. I don't do it a whole lot. I do CrossFitty things, right? My wife still
Hmm.
goes three mornings a week at the 5:15 crew, and like
Love it.
she's still very devoted. So I'm still in touch with it, and been watching the evolution of the brand for so long, since really the inception of it. And uh, all I've heard is good things so far, Don, and that is not always the norm from about CrossFit leadership. I'm sure we'll get into, for people who aren't indoctrinated into the CrossFit world, we'll touch on the history throughout there. But dude, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about. I'm just going to give a overview of your background, and then if there's anything I'm missing, please plug that in. But I want to save a lot of time for the actual meat of what we're doing here. But yeah, you graduated from the Naval Academy, right? A platoon commander in the Marines, Stanford MBA. You worked at Google, Facebook, Pinterest, and now CrossFit, right? Like, so some of these things seem.
We Pinterest and CrossFit. I worked at actually a sports performance startup called Athos.
That's right. Okay. So I got most of that right, right? Yeah. So impressive. Like, you've done a lot of impressive things in your background. Certainly, like, I wouldn't call you a slouch. Seems like you work hard, constantly moving forward. I know you have a passion for high performing teams, which makes a lot of sense given your background. But here's the first question is, when this opportunity arose to be the CEO of CrossFit after, kind of your years of turmoil with the brand, why would you do that to yourself? Like, what was it that attracted you to this role? And yeah, what gave you the confidence to say, this is the challenge I want next?
It's funny. It's my first week at the job, which is I'm coming up on 2 years in about a week or two, actually. And it's funny. The most common comments I got first week for me was the CrossFit Games back in 2022, and the most common comment was, "Congratulations, but why would you take that job?" And the first couple of
Exactly.
times I was like, "Oh, interesting," and then I started to hear it more and more, and I was like, "Gosh, what did I get myself into?" But
Yeah.
look, for me, actually, the start of it was back in 2014. So, I was working at Pinterest at the time in San Francisco, had been, I grew up playing sports, was really active in the Marines as well. I had actually was in my mid 30s at that point working at Pinterest. I had really bad chronic back issues, shoulder problems, and was waking up and taking the first 20 minutes to stretch out. Fitness had always been really important to me, but I was at the point in my life where I'd gotten candidly in a little bit of a rut, and had a buddy of mine, say, "Hey, what do you think about CrossFit?" And, candidly, I was reticent. I didn't think with my back issues, I'd be able to do it. I had heard all of these things. CrossFit's, maybe it's dangerous. It's a little too intense, but, he was persistent, dragged me into a CrossFit gym in, South Market in San Francisco. Fast forward 2, 3 months, and I was completely hooked. So, I came for, I'd say I came for the fitness. I was, had heard so much about it, and, ended up, yes, I got incredibly fit. It turns out actually my back issues, the focus on core strength and mobility, were exactly what I needed. So my back has been, last 10 years has been great, but along the way discovered this amazing community, which was totally unexpected. So, when I got a call in, 2022 about the opportunity, I was already all in. CrossFit had already had a huge impact on my life. And over the course of, at that point, 8 years, had CrossFit, in the affiliates that I had trained in, had seen CrossFit do the same thing for hundreds of other people. And so, yeah, I had paid attention to what was going on, at a cursory level. And I viewed, at that point in 2022, CrossFit as a brand and community and methodology that, yeah, had some challenges without question, was going through a turbulent period, but one that just had extraordinary potential. And as big as CrossFit was at that point, right, 160 countries, over 10,000 affiliates, millions of people, I looked at what CrossFit had done for me and had done for so many other people and thought, gosh, there's an opportunity here. I have never seen anything like this in this industry, and there's the opportunity to reach a heck of a lot more people at a point at which society was really struggling with health, physical health, mental health, loneliness, right, in the face of COVID at that point. So for me, I was just incredibly excited about both the opportunity and, to be honest, the challenge. I like doing hard things, and view that is kind of a next really interesting challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. Great feedback. And it's, which gym was it in Soma?
It was actually I was wrong. It's not Soma's Financial District. It was a gym called
Okay.
Flagship. Do you
Okay.
remember Flagship?
Well, I left San Francisco in 08, 09. So
Okay.
I
I don't think it was
oscillated.
around at that point.
Okay. Yeah. I oscillate between, Crystal Lane's gym. So that's
Oh, for
Jacqueline
sure.
Lane's grandnephew, I think, or grandson.
Yeah.
And then the Starrett's gym. I went
Yeah.
back and
Oh,
forth
well,
between
that's
those two.
an iconic gym. Yeah.
Oh yeah. One of the best. Uh, okay. So I get it, man. Like CrossFit, the industry was fundamentally changed when CrossFit came through. Like it was a freight train through the industry. Everyone had a strong opinion about it. The brand is iconic and still is. Like I think there's 12, 13,000 affiliates globally still. Like those numbers are, I don't know if people really recognize how big the brand is. So there's incredible potential still for this to grow and become, something much, much bigger. And obviously it fundamentally changed my life. Many people I know, it taught what the fitness industry, I think, what community really means, like how you can build a strong community and what that means for a business and the viral effect of that and the retention. And I mean, at some point I had something like 97% retention rate month to month by doing nothing more than just running classes and, having a Christmas party once a year. Right. So there's something really powerful. And then the functional fitness aspect of it that came in and the model and the modality was really unique. So all I'm trying to say is there's a lot to work with here. On the other side, you come in because things aren't okay, right? Like they need change. So when you are going to kind of keep this simple, but what were maybe the three biggest things that you immediately identified that you're like, okay, I got to get to work on A, B, and C?
Yeah. So, I think the first thing that became really clear when I started, so as you said, yeah, it was a period of turmoil for sure. So
Mhm.
CrossFit had gone through a bunch of change and turmoil in 2020, led to a sale of the business. New leadership came in 2020, and then 2 years of, real meaningful challenges, ups and downs, lots of departures. So, in August of 22, when I started, there was a lot of uncertainty and a lot of work to be done. And so I'd say that the things that became really readily apparent, first and foremost, we needed a vision and plan that the community, that our team could get excited about. And
Mhm.
I heard, on top of "you're crazy for taking this role," the other thing I heard, which was really exciting, was from everyone, folks inside the company, partners, people in the ecosystem, was, "We love CrossFit. We want it to be successful. We want to know how we can help. So we need to understand where you're going, where we are going as a community, and where we can plug in." And so that was number one, articulating a vision that, our team and the community could get excited about. Two, we needed just internally, we needed a plan then that we could execute against. So, the vision was, hey, what does the world look like if we're successful? Two is, how do we actually pragmatically get there? How do we execute against it? And so we spent a lot of time as a team working on, our goals and our strategy, and how we were going to align and work together to get there, on how we're going to partner within the ecosystem. I'd say
Mm.
that was really clear as a big opportunity. CrossFit HQ had not always been a great partner within the ecosystem. And we've got, again, 13,000 gym owners, a ton of partners who have had success in the ecosystem, athletes, media within the community, all of which now want CrossFit to flourish and be successful. So figuring out, how do we align all of our interests and work together to grow the pie, to reach more people, the outcome that benefits everyone. So, that clear plan and strategy was number two. And then the third piece was really our team. Our team at headquarters had been through, oh my gosh, an incredible amount of turmoil that
Yeah.
predated this sale, right? You go back 10, 15 years, and the amount of flux and change that the team had gone through. And then, from 2020 through 2022, a bunch of new folks who had joined the team in a really rapid period of time. And I'd say I would characterize us at that point as a pretty exceptional group of individuals, but a pretty dysfunctional team. We didn't operate and work well together. And so everyone wanted to, right? Everyone was so incredibly passionate about the company and the community, and having a larger impact in the world. But we had to rebuild a culture internally, aligned around that vision and plan that we articulated, where we could build trust across the organization, where we could learn how to work together. And so, those were the first three things that, as a leadership team, we spent time on, to really start to move the ball down the field.
How big is your leadership team? Maybe just give us an idea of who you have on it as of
Yeah,
today. And
so
we're
our
in
leadership team
Q3.
today. So we have, two folks in our team who I would kind of characterize as founders. So Dave Castro, Nicole Carroll, both been around for 18 plus years at this point. Really, them along with the founder, Greg, responsible for building CrossFit. Nicole is our chief brand officer. So there is no one who understands CrossFit at a more intuitive level than Nicole. Dave runs our sport and our education business. We have a guy named Jay Coons. Jay joins about a year ago. Jay leads our affiliate and operations team. We have we actually just hired a CFO who's going to be starting in the next few weeks, actually. We have a chief people officer, a woman who I worked with for, over a decade now, who's incredible. We have a chief product officer named Ben McAllister, leads our product management. So really the vision for our technology and how that can help support our goals. We have a woman named Natalie Demores who leads engineering team. So partners really closely with Ben on the work that we do there. And let's see if I'm missing, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, and we have our CMO, our chief marketing officer, a woman named Jenna Haupt, who joined us about 4 months ago. It's had a huge impact. And so, yeah, that's our leadership team. We've come a long way. Everyone but Dave and Nicole has joined in the 2 years since I started.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember being in David's ranch back in the day. The original CrossFit Games was at his family's ranch.
There at the ranch in Aromas.
Yeah.
It's come a long way.
Wow. Yeah. What a long way, man. Okay. So when we get into, here's something which I look at other fitness brands, Orange Theory, Equinox, Atabolic, some friends of mine, like they always have a very clear, defined definition of who their ideal customer is. Now, when I ask you this question, it's like, back in my day when I was running an affiliate and deeply involved, it was like, well, who's CrossFit for? It's for everyone, man. It's, Navy SEALs working out next to soccer moms.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the thing we'd always say. It's for everybody. Now, okay, maybe it is, right? I can argue a lot of points against that from what I've seen. So who is the core consumer of CrossFit? And I want to ask that both ways, like both the actual, like someone who walks in a gym as a member, and then someone who is an affiliate owner, because you kind of serve both those. So who are those ideal consumers?
Let me start with the member, the average member, and I'll answer it maybe in two ways. And maybe this is a little bit of a hedge, but I'll try to clarify it. So I would say, look, when we talk, we get the question, is CrossFit for everyone? I think there is a perception out there, and this is one that I held before I started, that the average, CrossFitter is, post-college, former collegiate athlete in exceptional shape, jacked. The truth is, and you know this, but if you walk into any one of our gyms, you'll see in 30 seconds that that's simply not the case. Yes, there are folks like that, but you're going to find young, old, men, women. You're going to find folks who are really fit. You're going to find folks who are literally starting in their fitness journey and maybe have never touched a barbell or done a push-up in their life. I'd say the one distinction is CrossFit for everyone. No, the only thing that we require, though, is the mentality. And so a willingness to work hard. And, there are a lot of, I'd say a lot of fitness brands that promise easy results. We don't. CrossFit's not easy. It's hard. We ask that you show up, that you be willing to work hard. And, what we're going to deliver is you're going to be supported by the most supportive, inclusive community that'll make that hard work a little bit easier. We're going to be there to challenge you and support you all along the way. And over the long run, what you're going to see is fundamentally life-changing results. So, we when we talk internally, we talk about our target as the willing. It's much more of a mindset than it is an age, than it is a demographic per se. So that is one way. And that what we look then is we have an addressable market that is extraordinarily big and it's massive. Now, if you look at where is the core of our audience, if you break it down through more of a traditional marketing lens, you're looking somewhere in the range of 25 to 45. Yes, we have a reasonable amount of former athletes, but we also have a ton of folks who were not. That's probably the highest density. I think our average age is around 32 to 33 if you look at kind of where we index today. But again, the breadth of what the CrossFit ecosystem supports in terms of its audience, I'd say is kind of unparalleled in the industry. So that speaks to the member. The second piece is the owner, it's the affiliate owner. And, this is an area, again, where we are fundamentally different than the rest of the industry. So we have a very unique, different model. So where many of the other folks in the ecosystem have a traditional franchise model, we have a model that's called affiliation. It is very different, and it indexes very strongly towards giving our owners a ton of autonomy and flexibility in how they run their affiliates. And it does two really powerful things as a result. One, I'd say we attract a very different type of owner. And I'll broadly and grossly generalize here, but I think if we look at some of our competitors in their space who run franchise businesses, often you will go after owners who are looking at a variety of different businesses to run in the fitness industry. And they're looking at, hey, should I open, this type of franchise or that type of franchise? Our owners are really different. They are not motivated first and foremost, the vast majority, by running and opening a business. Most of them have had their lives impacted in a meaningful sort of way by CrossFit. So they came as a member, as a coach, and then decided, hey, they want to make this community, this methodology that's changed their life, their career. They want to bring what CrossFit has done to them to other people. So it's an incredibly intrinsically motivated kind of owner cohort that we have today. They measure their success by and large by the number of people, the number of lives that they changed. And this is both a blessing and a challenge for us, candidly, and we can speak to that a little bit later. So one, I think our model is really unique and powerful in that it attracts a very intrinsically motivated, very passionate owner who believes deeply in the methodology and is primarily motivated by helping other people. The second thing it does is our model gives a ton of autonomy. So in a traditional franchise model where the look and the feel and the software and the programming is prescriptively determined by the franchisor, in our ecosystem, we give our owners a ton of flexibility to run their affiliates largely the way that they want to. And what that allows us to do is we've got 13,000 gyms that are uniquely crafted to the unique needs of their local communities. So our owners can exercise their creativity. They can understand, hey, what does my community really, really need fundamentally? And how do I create an environment that best supports that? And so you'll see, you're not going to find two affiliates of our 13,000 in the world that are exactly the same. Again, that's an element that is extraordinarily powerful and has brought a lot of value. It also presents its challenges as well as we think about things like kind of scaling quality, et cetera. But so for our owner cohort, our average affiliate owner is someone whose life has been changed by CrossFit and wants to open an affiliate and give back.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, man. And I mean, there's trade-offs to everything, whether it's business,
Right.
life, like that's kind of the basic principle of life. There's always trade-offs. And I think when the consumer is like, I agree. I mean, I did, and this is just from 9 years of experience too, is I literally had, 65-year-old women in the same room as a Navy SEAL.
Mm-hmm.
Those are unicorns, right? Really. Like it's not like you're filled with Navy SEALs and unicorns. That's just not the way it happens. Even just if you could, there's just not enough of them. But I do believe in my heart that maybe CrossFit is more of an advanced modality. Like it really is. Like we're talking about, like, I think it's great. If someone goes to, let's say, an Orange Theory Fitness, they kind of get their base fitness going, they get a love of it, they start doing a little bit of functional movement. That person tends to come into a CrossFit community, integrate better, last longer. I think when we try to throw out like, hey, someone who is 100 pounds overweight, right? And start to get him into a class where it's like, and this all comes down to not necessarily the model, but how the coaching is applied and the quality of the coaching across the ecosystem, right? So, I mean, here's what I'm trying to get. It's like, should it be positioned as like an all for everything for everyone type thing? Or should we just maybe address like, hey, there's a base level of fitness that should be considered maybe beforehand, and maybe we can offer that in a different way to get people more on board. And I mean, how does that conversation roll over in your head?
Yeah, no, I think we believe pretty strongly that CrossFit is for and should be for anyone who's willing to put in the effort. And now what we recognize is the beauty of CrossFit, as you know well, is that, we talk about, we're going to meet you where you are. We have a methodology that can be, again, the language we will use can be scaled, right? So the way that you can have a Navy SEAL working out next to someone who is doing their first level of fitness is a combination of the methodology that allows you to take a workout and adapt it so that those two people can do the same workout. It also requires a coach that has an exceptional level of skill that can support both of those athletes and then create an environment that works. Now, that's not easy, but it's 100% possible. And there are thousands of cases. And yes, like let's acknowledge, if you are early in your fitness journey, if you have never trained before, getting started is harder. But I think we would argue strongly, there is no better place for that person to start and continue their journey than a CrossFit affiliate. You're going to have a community that's going to support you, that even if you're, like me, when I started, I was finishing last in every workout. You'll have the rest of the class standing around you, supporting you, cheering you on along the way. You're going to have a coach who is there, who is, focused on making sure that experience isn't too overwhelming, that you're getting good coaching cues. If the movement itself is unfamiliar, it can be scaled to make sure that you've got the right outcome. It's going to reach out to you after the workout. So we believe really, really strongly, no, we shouldn't. Honestly, we need to support, yes, the former Navy SEALs, but the folks in our society and in a world who need it the most. I would argue we are best suited to support them. Now, when I look at where we need to level up as a community, I think there are opportunities for us to do a better job of making sure that every affiliate and every coach is capable of supporting a breadth of different athletes. Because yes, the needs of a 75-year-old first-time CrossFit member are going to be different than the needs of a former college athletes. And so we've got extraordinary coaches out there to do it today. Our job at HQ, I really view our role is making sure that we are providing the resources so that every one of our coaches out there and every one of our affiliates is ready for anyone who walks in the front door, and that we can create that type of experience.
Nice. Well said. Let's talk about the affiliates. This is kind of the bulk of what I want to get to. I had a quarterly report that I did with Juliet and Alex Alaministiano, and we talked about CrossFit, and we dove into some reports that came out from Two Brain. I work with Dan Weimer at Push Press. He provided some data for us to kind of mull over. So there was a lot of stuff to go. And I think that shining thing that came through is like, okay, number one, affiliates just don't make a lot of money as it stands now, right? That's tough. Like they have to have a second job. It's always on the precipice of closing. I know there's a lot of secondary market that's been created for business coaching around CrossFit, and they've all done very well, those folks. But there's that. So I want to talk about how we're going to address that. But there's also kind of the mental aspect. And I don't think this is necessarily unique to CrossFit, but I think it is more prominent, that there's kind of like those things that keep you awake as affiliate owner. Like, okay, is my coach going to leave and open up a gym 2 doors down, right? Or what other affiliate is going to pop right up, so there's issue to that. And then there's also the fight against, like, I may run a fantastic affiliate, but someone's going to go, maybe stop in another town, go to another affiliate, and it's not going to be, no one's going to care. No one's going to give a shit, right? They're going to get a bad workout. They're going to get a bad taste in their mouth about CrossFit. So it's a quality control across the network. Yep. And I know those are part of the trade-offs of the affiliate model. But so how are you guys looking at the affiliate to support them, help them make more money, sleep better at night, be more productive, and be more enthusiastic about the future of their endeavors?
Awesome. So there's a lot there. Let's start with, I think, some of the data you referenced, and you're 100% right. But what I would say is, if you look at it, the average affiliate owner needs help on the business side. That's true. But there are a ton of affiliates financially who are flourishing and doing great. And when we look at it, especially those gyms, many of them have evolved over time, and they've learned, again, if I take a step back, to run a successful affiliate over time requires 2 things. It requires creating an amazing environment for your members to be able to deliver an extraordinary experience when they walk in the door, create that community, have great coaches, deliver a high standard that drives results. We've done a great job there. HQ, I would say, we've done a lot to educate coaches, to train coaches. The second thing it requires, though, is running a strong, sustainable business over time. I don't care how good your coaching experience is. If you're an owner and you're a decade in and you're barely making payroll, barely paying the bills, at some points we're not going to make it. And so both of those things are really necessary. And I'd say if we look at that category, running a successful business, HQ has largely left historically affiliates on their own to figure it out. And some have, many haven't, many are still struggling. Now, the good news is, if we look at owners who are able to build that skill set on the business side, we see a ton of success stories. And you referenced Two Brain. There are a bunch of these consulting companies who helps, affiliate owners run a business. And their numbers are, the pre and post, before and after, are incredibly encouraging. I think over 90% of their owners meaningfully increase take-home pay, meaningfully improve the number of members they support, and so that they can come out of that experience with both a great experience on the floor for their members and a really strong business. So we look at that and say, okay, we need to now scale this so that every one of our owners is provided with the support and the resources that they need to run a great business as well. And so over the last year and a half, 2 years, we've made a really big investment in this. So it started with, we built a team. So we've got members of our team. We've got 5 regions in the US. We have over 30 or 40 members internationally. Of vast majority of them are existing or former affiliate owners who are working day in and day out with our owners to support them. We're doing a ton of affiliate gatherings where we bring together our affiliate owners. We'll build those gatherings around education. Some of it is just a means of connecting owners in a region who can help each other, who may have been down that road and learned things that they're excited and motivated to share with other owners. We've done a ton of work on business education and materials, resources. We're running webinars now on a monthly basis, an education series again, where owners can learn from members of our team or successful affiliates who have been around a while. And what we're seeing is that work is having a meaningful impact. So we're seeing better retention amongst our owners who are engaged and active with us. Now, I'll acknowledge that probably the biggest challenge for us and battle is for over 20 years, there was no engagement between headquarters and owners. There were no resources. There was no dialogue. And so we are still working really hard. We have a lot of owners who don't think about going to CrossFit.com to look for resources or attend the gathering because they never existed before. And so we are still working really hard to build those relationships. Our team's done an amazing job. Last year, we met with almost 6,000 affiliates in person. So we're moving in the right direction. And I'm confident that, we'll see over time that those affiliates who are engaged, who are investing in the business side, that we're going to see better financial outcomes. And I would really say when it comes down to many of the other issues, the things that we fundamentally care about, improving and elevating the strength of that affiliate business is going to have a ton of cascading positive impacts. We're going to see those owners invest more in higher coaching credentials for the members. They're going to get level 2s and level 3s. That's going to translate to a better experience for members, elevated quality. And so we think that piece is really, really important on the business side because it enables and allows for a lot of other things that are important, not only for the individual affiliate, but for the brand and the community at large, because it's going to allow us to kind of collectively elevate the quality of the experience and the standard. Now, what we're doing in parallel with that, as it speaks to, you're right, one of the most frequent things that I'll hear as I travel and meet with owners is that the successful owners will say, gosh, that owner down the street, or I had a member who dropped in at a bunch of and said, holy cow, the experience there is night and day. And this has been, I'd say one of the costs of a model that has been very hands-off for a long time is that, yes, we have most of our owners who are doing an amazing job, but we have a subset who are not and whose experience doesn't reflect well on the brand. And so we are focused on that. The first thing we're focused on is there are kind of 2 things that we've invested in. One, we've actually elevated requirements for owners. So we have very few requirements, but one that we have is we require our affiliate owners to have, historically, it's been a level 1, which is our entry level training. That was the case for over 20 years. We just changed that to a level 2. So the next stage in our training, and our thesis there is that owners who are better educated and who are more focused on a high quality coaching experience, that's going to translate to a better experience for their members. And it's going to set an expectation within their affiliate amongst their coaches that they expect a higher level of quality coaching as well. So that's been one change. And the second has been, we're really trying to ratchet up the resources that we provide to existing and new owners. So for existing owners, again, we have invested massively. What's available today to the average owner, if they go to our affiliates, resources is night and day from where we were. And then we're making a big investment in new owners. So we'll have about 1,400, speaks to the scale of CrossFit. We'll have about 1,400 new gyms this year, which is just a crazy number, right? It's bigger than most of our competitors in aggregate. What we're doing with those gyms is making sure in that the early stages of opening an affiliate that we are very supportive and that they really understand what are the essential decisions. How do you create the right culture? How do you make really important decisions around things like your lease, which is going to have a massive impact on your cost structure? How do we invest in standards for your coaches? What do education requirements look like? So we have a kind of step-by-step process now that we have built in partnership with some of our most successful affiliates to make sure that our new gyms who are coming out of the gate can learn from the 2 decades of experience of our other owners.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, man. And it's, I don't want to paint this picture of like everything should be perfect either, man. We know small business is tough. I mean, if you look at those numbers, like very few small businesses endure. I think, yeah, Brandon Cullen from Metabolic is a good friend of mine. We've had a podcast about, like here's the reality of franchising. Like after an exponential report came out, I can't remember what major publication that was, but we talked about like 25% of them fail, 50% will do okay, 25% will do great, but then they'll start to open more, a second or third or a fourth. That's just kind of the reality of it, right? And which kind of makes me think like, okay, the affiliate models seems so unique to CrossFit, and it does have those trade-offs. On one side, it's an incredible amount of freedom. You can scale quickly. The barrier to entry is low. People can do a lot of different things within that framework that actually, it's born libertarianism, right? We all know that from old Mr. Glassman. But how do you maybe start to buck up against the franchise model and the benefits that model has without going franchise? Like how do you take those pieces and kind of go as close as you can, but still maintain all those great qualities of what CrossFit is now?
Yeah, totally. And we will never be a traditional franchise.
Yeah.
The fastest way to kill CrossFit would be moving that direction.
Oh, no, that would not go well.
That would not go well, nor would it serve anyone. Honestly, it would be bad for the brand, it'd be bad for the community. So, for us, it's about, let's break down, when we look at affiliate and franchise, let's look at, at the end of the day, what's most important and what are the problems that we want to try to solve for, and how do we solve for them while preserving what is most important and powerful about our model. So what I would start with is what is fundamentally essential and critical. Again, coming back to what I spoke to a little bit before, is one, we want to make sure we have a model that attracts and motivates and inspires independent-minded, creative, passionate, entrepreneurial affiliate owners. If we start getting into a place where a large percentage of our affiliate owners aren't in it because they love CrossFit and are in it because they want to I think we've done something fundamentally wrong. And I think a huge part of what attracts and motivates our owners today is that notion of autonomy and true ownership and flexibility. So we will always bias very strongly towards trusting that our owners know better than us about what it takes to create a great experience for their local community. And so that'll be an important part of our model. Now, if we look at some of the opportunities, I think for a long time, CrossFit invested a lot in education on the coaching side and very little on the business side. And that is changing, and so we are investing really, really heavily in tools and resources that we present and provide to owners. Now, in a traditional franchise world, most of those things would be mandated and required. There would be no choices. We're not going to move in that direction. And if you look at our track record of the last 2 years, you'll see we're not forcing these education series, tools, resources. We're still leaving it up to the owner. We're just making them available. And then I think a huge part of our job and responsibility is to show our owners and show the community why investing in those things is better for them and better for their community. And if we do that really well, I think what we'll continue to see, which we've seen over the last year and a half, is really good usage and adoption. So I'll give you an example. We have a product that we call our affiliate programming. So the workouts that are run inside of our affiliates, our owners can choose. They can do their own programming, come up with their own workouts based on the methodology. There are a bunch of third parties, some of them run by athletes. We have an offering, a free offering that we've launched. And we've worked really hard over the course of the last year to just educate owners. We made it free. We made it available. And we said, hey, here's an offering. It's called CrossFit Affiliate Programming CAP. We think it's a great resource. We think it's a great way of educating your coaches. And we've seen massive growth in it. We haven't required it. We've just made it available. We've now got, close to 3,000 gyms using our affiliate programming, up from about 700 or 800 year and a half ago. That's the model that we want to try to invest in. So understand the opportunities and problems that we can help owners with. Design a set of resources that solve those problems, and then show our community why investing in those resources is helpful for them. There will be certain areas like our education requirement, which has always been a part of the affiliation, where we will have certain level of requirements, but largely we're going to try to continue to lean on, giving our owners autonomy. Last thing I will say is we can't shy away from being really clear that we expect a high level of quality. And so having autonomy doesn't mean that you can deliver a shitty experience. That is not acceptable. And again, because there's a cost to that, to your members and to every other affiliate in the community. And so, we made a change this year. I mentioned it before, of elevating the quality experience. We talked about why it's important, and it did ask for an additional investment from our owners, but it was in service of elevating the quality. And by and large, it was received incredibly well. I think most owners were, good on you guys. This is a great thing for the community ecosystem, even though it was something that we were asking more of them. So we'll continue to do that. We're going to continue to set a high standard, because fundamentally, it's always been at the root of what has made CrossFit successful. We use the words virtuosity, the pursuit of virtuosity, excellence. That's how we're going to reach the next X million people. It's by elevating the standard that you can expect in the average affiliate.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. And it's always amazed me how CrossFit has created the secondary market of products and services, right? I mean, we talk about the business coaching, we talk about the program design, we talk about insurance, we talk about software, we talk about website services. Like it's incredible how much media, like the Morning Chalk Up never would exist if it wasn't for CrossFit. It's just about CrossFit. That's wild, right?
Yeah.
But I always thought, like, well, why isn't HQ maybe starting to take some of these things back? Like, it seems like, I know that would piss off a lot of people, but like, who can do it better than CrossFit HQ? If you are doing, more of the business acumen, business coaching and preparing people, that they don't have to buy it, right? It's not a franchise. They don't have to do it. But man, if it came from CrossFit HQ, I feel like it'd have a lot of clout. Same with like, websites, basic website design, stuff like that. So, I mean, is that something that's on your guys' radar? Have you thought about it? Where do you sit on that?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's, as you articulate and again, that's a decision that has had extraordinary benefits, right? We've got this wealth of, whether it's software or programming or media, there are a wealth of offerings. It comes with its challenges as well. We've got, if you take software alone right now, so our gyms they can use whatever client management software they want. And so there are dozens that exist globally. Challenge for us is that results in a ton of data fragmentation. So we actually don't have insight. At a traditional franchisor, they're all using the same software. You can see exactly what's happening. We don't have that. Now, when we zoom out and when we think about this and look at it, there are certain areas where we will increase our investment. And those are areas that one, where I believe it is core to who we are and what we do exceptionally well. And if you look at what we do exceptionally well, it's education. That's what CrossFit's fundamentally always been about. Yeah. It's been about the methodology. It's been about, supporting our affiliate owners, the affiliate model. And so we have increased our investment there. We are doing more business education. We will do more business coaching. We will make additional investments in things like CAP, our programming offering, which we think are essential. And we'll do it both because we have competency there. It also has to satisfy it being better for the ecosystem. So I would argue there are some areas where actually having many, many options is better for the ecosystem. There are others where having a core offering from us serves everybody best, or serves the majority of the community best. So we're trying to be really selective. The other piece here that's we have to be mindful of is we're a super small team. HQ, we've got, again, 13,000 gyms, hundreds of thousands of coaches. We have a sport, we have an education business, we have affiliation, and we've got about 160 employees. We are tiny. And so we have to be really mindful of not trying to take on too many things. I want to make sure the things we do well. Again, they're core to what we do. And then the other piece is, I think for us, is how do we think about being a great partner and platform to all of those third-party folks who can innovate? How do we create the conditions where they can create extraordinary value for our community? So our endemic media, Talking Leaf Fitness, Morning Chalk Up, awesome. That didn't exist 10 years ago. That's great. How do we partner with them to make sure the media that's created for our ecosystem serves affiliates and serves our long-term outcomes? Software providers, how do we partner with those folks to make sure that they can continue to innovate, that there are great options that exist in all 160 countries where we operate? And maybe there's an opportunity for us to partner with them to understand from a data perspective what's happening within our ecosystem. So real challenges there, but opportunities. We're trying to stay focused on the areas that are really core and essential for us, and then be a great partner in the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So here's I think probably one, I don't know, I've never walked a minute in your shoes, but I would imagine like CrossFit is owned by private equity Berkshire, right? And you serve a lot of people, right? You serve the CrossFitter community, the consumers, you serve the affiliate owners, you have the sport, which we haven't even talked to, and we don't have time to talk about the sport of CrossFit today.
Next time.
Now you have private equity, right? You have your shareholders. So like when you're juggling those priorities across your job on a day-to-day, weekly, monthly basis, like how do you do that? Like what are the priorities there? Because everybody's going to want something different. And yeah, right now, like who's top of mind?
Yeah. So yeah, when I boil this down, I try to, boil it down into kind of three buckets. We have our community, and there are different constituents within our community for sure. We have our community. How do we best serve and support them? We have our team, our employees. How do we best serve and support them? And then we have our investors and our ownership. And I'd say, there's a exceptionally high degree of overlap between the community and our team. We have the benefit of, I would argue there are few organizations that are more mission driven and committed than our team. They care much more about changing lives and supporting their community than they do any sort of financial outcome. That's an amazing thing. There are areas where on the investor side, there isn't perfect overlap. I'd say there's more overlap than I'd say most folks might think. So I think it's very easy to say, private equity, all they care about is this, and they care about a totally different set of things than the community. The truth is there's a really good degree of overlap. At the end of the day, what makes CrossFit most valuable for any investor, the vast majority of that are the things that are best for the community as well. The more people we reach, the more healthy, successful, strong, sustainable affiliates that we have, having a really strong, robust education business and coaching ecosystem, making sure the brand is incredibly healthy, it's well respected, it has broad awareness, it has a trajectory of growth. When you think about what a future owner of CrossFit might care about, it's all of those things. And actually, so the things that we're doing to educate affiliates, to improve quality, to invest in the brand, to get more members in the front door, all of the things that serve our community create extraordinary value for a future owner of CrossFit as well. Now, I'll be honest, there are areas, it's not perfect overlap. On the financial side, there are expectations we have to hit, any business has to hit around earnings growth and profitability. And there are some areas where we have to have a really open discussion and debate. The vast majority, there's overlap, but there are some. For me, I'll tell you, I didn't join CrossFit to deliver any sort of return for our investors in a 2 to 3 year time horizon. I want to, but I want to be here because it's a brand that changed my life. It's a brand that I think has extraordinary potential. I hope that folks are doing a podcast in 50, 60 years and they're talking about the impact CrossFit had on the world, on health. That's my success horizon. And so at the end of the day, our job is to tee up those trade-offs and considerations, to make decisions that are in best in service of a healthy community and healthy brand. And then, really manage some of the financial tension in a way that best serves both short and long-term outcomes. It's not easy. There are times when it's challenging, but again, I would say if I look at where we are 2 years in, from where I started, we started at a point where the business was not healthy. I would say the ecosystem, the brands, trust from affiliates our team was shaky, really shaky in 2022. If I look at where we are today, closing last year, we had the best affiliate retention in the history of the company. We had the highest confidence in the future of the brand from our owners that we've seen since we started measuring it. The business is profitable again. We are driving earnings growth again. Nice. And so the team has done it. Now, there's always in the CrossFit community a whole ton of debate and speculation. We changed prices and there's a lot of discussion about it. When you look at the core fundamentals, they're really healthy. We're growing. We grew last year, a 24-year-old fitness brand that is already the largest in the world. We are growing again. And I expect we'll grow even faster this year. We'll see when the data comes out. But if you look at the CrossFit Open and participation, viewership, all of it's up year on year. And so I'm really bullish on the path that we're on, but it certainly requires some, hard decisions at times.
Yeah, man. So for the last few minutes I have you here, Don, paint me a picture. Like, let's put a timer. I know you like time horizons. So 5 years from now, 2029, what is your vision of CrossFit? What does the future of CrossFit look like?
Yeah. So 2029, or maybe if you'll allow me, we did a little bit of the 2030. So it gives us one more year. The single most important thing I'd say is, look, at the end of the day, our mission as a company is to make the world a healthier place. And CrossFit, that word health and fitness now has been, I'd say in the last 12 to 18 months, has become, let's call it the most popular marketing lingo increasingly in the fitness space. CrossFit's been talking about its impact on health for over a decade. And we are at a moment in time now where, societal health is in crisis, like full on crisis. It's bad. And when I look at where I would like for us to be, for CrossFit to be in 2030, first and foremost, I want us to have changed and impacted a heck of a lot more lives. So we talk about size. We've got somewhere in the neighborhood of, let's call it 3 to 4 million people do CrossFit today. We've put out this very ambitious, like 30 million people. It's directional order of magnitude, really meaningful growth globally. On top of that, I'd say when you look at how people talk about CrossFit and its impact in the world, that we will be able to say that that's 30 million lives that have been changed. That is for 30 million people, ushering in a state of lifelong health by virtue of the impact of CrossFit, physical health, mental health, the benefits of community belonging. And I think there's an opportunity for us at that point for the narrative broadly to say CrossFit as a brand, but more importantly, as a community, has had a massive impact on the way that society thinks about the importance of nutrition, of coming together in community, of fitness in service of driving a state of long-term health. We're in the early stages of it now. I would like for us at that point, and when you boil down how we got there, so it's a CrossFit has fundamentally changed the paradigm and the focus on nutrition and health. It is the easiest, most impactful way to get there. And when you boil down how we got there, it all happens through our, what will be more than 13,000 affiliates who are these life-changing kind of beacons of selflessness and hope in their communities all around the world. That exists today. And, 6-7 years from now, we're going to be in a heck of a lot more communities. We're going to be touching a heck of a lot more people. If all of those things are true, this will be a great business, like as a side effect. But we got to stay true to, making sure we do our work to get more people to recognize CrossFit is for anyone who has the mentality, to make the investment in our affiliates and owners to make them even stronger than they already are today. And then make sure that we continue to beat the drum on the importance of nutrition and fitness as it relates to health in our society, and being a part of the movement that shifts that focus on health upstream of the doctor's office, upstream of drugs, into those daily decisions that can be really impactful in your life.
Yeah, right on. Well, leadership goes a long way, and especially in a community like CrossFit, where if left to their own devices can get a little chaotic and intense. Let's put it that way. Here's what you got. You got some passionate people in the CrossFit community. That is undoubted. And I've talked to people on this show or, in person, be like, hey, you want to see people passionate about a methodology and a lifestyle?
Yep.
Like, go to CrossFit, because it is, people next door to us are building a house, and they're one of my first CrossFit clients back in 2009. So they're going to be our neighbors, awesome. Right? Like, that's how close that community sticks around for a while. There's so many, what I joke about is like, I wonder how many babies came out of my gym. Lots of them, right? Mm-hmm. Lots of marriages and babies. And it's just this really cool community that at core, you just got to figure out how to work with it properly. And it's going to take a lot of strong leadership to do that. And I'm excited, man. You surpassed expectations in my book, and man, I'm fully supporting what you're doing. So thank you for all of that. And Don, people are undoubtedly going to want to reach out and talk to you after this. Like, where would you like people to go online? And yeah, how would you like them to?
They can, I'm Don at CrossFit.com. They can shoot me a note. Okay. They can find me on LinkedIn and social as well.
Cool. Right on. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Don Faul.
Eric, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.